Hello, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started today, I got a couple things. One, thank you for over 100 subscribers. We reached that milestone a while ago, but uh, just haven't really found a place to put it in. So here it is. Thank you, everybody who's been watching and who's been subscribed to me. It's awesome. Can't believe people would listen to me ramble about hunting and going watching me struggle and everything like that. So I really do appreciate it. But yes, and then the other thing is I haven't been doing a lot of fishing videos lately. I know the whole turkey series kind of got out of hand. There's a lot of footage. Gosh, you guys didn't even see the half of it, honestly. Like, I probably could have gone the rest of the year with the turkey videos, but I get that it gets old. But thank you for watching those if you did. Anyway, moving on. Today I'm going to be talking about the realities of hunting. So I think this kind of goes in well with the beginner setups. This video, it's going to be a two-parter. Part of the video is this video is going to be more about what to expect when you're hunting, especially if you're starting out. And I know people that might be watching this, and they might be a lot older than me or hunt different areas. So honestly, drop your advice down below, because trust me, it would probably help some people that might see this and might think, oh, what do I need to do to prepare for hunting? So one of the things why I would say this would kind of go hand in hand with my beginner setups video is if you're starting out hunting and you look at all these people that do it for a living, like do YouTube. I don't do it for a living yet. Hopefully I'll get there one day. But you look at all these people, and I'm kind of guilty of it too, but they're have these massive properties. They know all these places and they do it for a living. So they got all this set up and ready to go. And you might look at it like one of two ways, which is one, I'm never going to be able to do anything with it. And it's like, well, that's not really a good mindset to have. Because I mean, I didn't start with nothing, but I never really had any of the high dollar fancy stuff until recently, until I had a job. So like I said, when you look at that and you see these game farms that some people hunt on, or that these 1,000-acre properties that these people manage, just know that that is a very, very small part of the population. Me personally, there's a lot of private property that I do hunt, but for the most part, it is people I'm asking permission for. But for a lot of the big game stuff I hunt public. So I still hunt public. That's what I do. But one of the big things when you're going to start hunting is, one of the things that people don't really show is the scouting behind it. I don't really scout all that much. I know that's probably bad for me to say, but I've been hunting the same area since I was 12 when it comes to big game. So I've figured out the area just over the years of just putting boots on the ground and going up every weekend hunting big game, right? So that's mostly elk for me. So the scouting is a big part of it. You got to know how the animals move, where they're at, what their habits are. And especially when it comes to whitetail, from what I understand, I don't hunt whitetail myself, but you can start patterning certain types of animals and figuring out how they move and where they're going to move to, and kind of start planning routes around it. A perfect example was this year with my dad. The one day I was seeing turkeys, a couple days I was seeing turkeys up on the ridge, and they would keep walking up the ridge every day. So he sat up there, I told him about it. So he sat up there, he was able to get one, right? So you got to put in the work to get the final product. Sometimes all you see is the final product. So that's one of the big things that I've noticed is, you sometimes you don't see all the work that's put in. The other thing is years, right? That there are levels to it. Your first year out, you're probably not going to get anything. I got lucky, in all honesty. My first year big game hunting, I shot an elk my first year. It was the last day, but I got lucky. I'll just say that there is a certain amount of luck involved with it. I think it took me 5 or 6 duck hunts to even shoot my first duck. Yeah. So if you're not succeeding right off the bat, do not get discouraged. That's one of the biggest pieces of advice I could give you, is don't get discouraged. Because I know I've been discouraged, and when it comes to the outdoors and hunting and even fishing, it's going to take years figuring out what works with certain types of fish and things like that. You don't want to get discouraged, because if somebody's catching more than you, they probably have more experience in that area. I know my dad can outfish me just about any day of the week, but then again, he's quite a bit older than me, so he's got a lot more years doing it. So it's one of those things where it's like there are levels to it, and the more and more you get out and more you do it, you'll start to figure stuff out for yourself. Like there's certain things that I've figured out, certain mistakes that I've done, and then you learn from it. I mean, that's another thing too, is with the years you're gonna have stuff get away from you. I mean, I remember the first archery elk series that I did. I got within 40 yards of an elk, but it was middle of the day. He bedded down. And I kind of bumped him from his bed, and that's not necessarily a good thing. You know, you take that, you learn, you figure out, all right, during these periods of the day, you might not want to start looking for elk and things like that. I mean, another thing is first elk that I ever got on during archery season. It's not on video, but first elk I ever got on, I moved when I probably shouldn't have. I tried to cut him off instead of just waiting, and I bumped him. And he took off 200 yards. He took off, off, and it was just one of those things where it's like, all right, now I know I got to be patient. And he was coming to me. If I would have waited another 10, 15 minutes, he probably would have walked close enough for a shot. But I was just impatient, right? So years in the woods and the areas that you hunt continuously, you'll start to figure out where the pockets of animals are. You'll start to figure out bird patterns, like when it comes to waterfowl, when birds start coming in, when they start leaving, what areas they like to go to, things like that. So again, if you're not really that successful during your first few years of hunting or fishing, don't get discouraged, because trust me, all those mistakes that you have, you'll learn from them for the most part. There's some things sometimes where, you know, I've been hunting and they just don't stuff, like when it comes to waterfowl, they just don't come in. And it's like, what will we do wrong? And we can't figure it out. But you just got to stick with it. It's perseverance. You're not going to be successful every single time. I know some people make it look like they're successful every time, but it also, again, comes with years of experience. All right. The next thing is the terrain aspect and the physicality aspect. So me personally, I'm not in the greatest shape right now. I've never really been in the greatest shape, but I live in the Mountain West. I mean, I live in Wyoming. A lot of Wyoming is very technical terrain where I archery hunt, very, very technical terrain. You got to be fit for it. Obviously, right now, I am not. I'm trying, but it's hard to stay in shape during the off season, especially when there's other factors going into it. I don't want to be making excuses, but for the Mountain West area where I live, you got to be in pretty good shape to hunt these areas, because it is very technical. There's places where I hunt where you can't even get horses to. So like a lot of it, you got to understand your terrain. You got to understand what it takes to get up the mountain and things like that. If you're from the Midwest, maybe there's some other things that you could probably talk about in the comments. Like I don't know. I know where I'm from. I don't really know outside of it. And even waterfowl. There have been some times where I've walked a mile or two with a decoy bag on my back and a dog and a shotgun and all the stuff that goes with it. So like understanding that it does take a little bit of physicality, like you got to be kind of ready for it, is one of the big things that I don't think is talked about a lot. Like you do have to train for the woods or the mountains or the marsh, because you never know what's going to happen, and it's very difficult. Like I know my limits. That's why when I shot my elk this past year, I was at the trailhead at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I know how long it takes me to get up to the top again. That's just years of understanding, and I got lost. That's not good. But like just knowing where you're at and knowing what's needed to be in the woods. Like that's a big thing, is being in shape. Obviously, I'm not best in shape. Cameron Haynes has a good thing where he says, train hard and hunt easy. Those are great words. I'm not the best at it, obviously, but I try to train and try and make sure my cardio is up, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. And then the final thing when it comes to just the realities of hunting is your terrain, right? Now, you can look at topo maps and you can look at all sorts of stuff, and you can kind of understand topo maps. I kind of understand them. I understand like the bands and things like that. But the reality is when you get there, it could be completely different, or your understanding of it just changes. Like you can look at maps all you want and be like, man, that's only 2 miles back there. But you start looking at like the topographical features of the area and seeing how up and down it is. Or like a marsh, oh, that's only 100 yards through the marsh, but underneath it could be an inch of water and 6 inches of mud or 8 inches of mud, and then you're screwed. So like that kind of goes with scouting, is like you got to know your area before you go hunt, because you can look at a map and you can be like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. And then you get there and you're like, man, I really bit off more than I can chew. And I've done that a few times as well. So essentially what the whole point of this video is there's going to be growing pains when you start hunting. I've been not necessarily hunting, but around it since I was very, very small. I've been around fishing since I was very, very small. Like, I've seen mistakes and try to learn from the mistakes I've seen. I've made mistakes and try to learn from the mistakes that I've made. So it does take time. Don't get discouraged if you don't get it right away, because eventually it's going to click, and then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I get why people do this all the time. We need more hunters and more fishermen, because that's how our sport survives, right? And that's it for this video. Thank you again for watching. Next video that I'm going to do on this, the realities of hunting, is on the ethics. And I'll get into that in a later video. I have very strong feelings about hunting and what it does for people. So thank you again for watching. Catch you next week with that next video. And thanks again for over 100 subscribers. And hopefully we can keep that momentum going, eventually get to where I start maybe getting a little money out of this. But maybe start doing this for a living. But thanks again for watching. If you have any advice for people that are just starting to hunt or just starting to go fishing, leave it in the comments, please. Like, I know some of the people that watch this aren't from the Mountain West. They're from the Midwest or the East Coast or the West Coast or the South. So if you have any advice for people, please leave it in the comments, because I know some people that have started hunting, and just getting words of encouragement and things that you have found that work for you are really helpful for people. So again, please leave that in the comments. It's not engagement bait. This is just me trying to get to people, so that way we can have better management of resources, and that way we can have more hunters and more fishermen. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.